What's happening, everybody? Welcome to the Twin Sons Podcast, episode 47. I'm Shane.
I'm Josh.
And that's it. We got two of us, and we're going to get right to it. We got a lot to talk about, Josh. We have a ton to talk about. Things have 100% been happening. We are also live on Twitch. We're going to be trying to do live shows every Thursday at 7 p.m. EST from here on out. So ideally, if you guys can hang around, throw some questions in the chat, we'll be answering whatever we can, whenever we can. So feel free to do that. But as always, we are brought to you by RuneterraCCG.com. Recently, there's been a ton of good content on there. In particular, just even today, Random 7 put up 5 synergistic lineups for standard Gauntlet. So it is Thursday, so Gauntlet should be open already. If not, will be tomorrow very, very shortly. And it's standard this time, not singleton. So he's got 5 synergistic lineups for you. Check that out. If you're more interested in more of the metagame for tournament play and things like that, Agigas has you covered. He's got a metagame tier list up there. He has the winners and losers of the post-Go Hard meta. He's got a ton of good content up there as well. So you definitely make sure to swing by, check that out. If you want to hear my terrible opinions on Aphelios, you can check those out on that site or right here on this podcast, because we'll be talking about Aphelios today for sure.
I definitely will.
Yeah, Josh will be. I'll just sit here. We're going to skip our normal little introduction thing. We have too much to talk about. All of Riot decided to announce like a million things, so we have a lot to talk about. So, Josh, before we get into any of that, anything else you want to talk about first? I mean, do you have anything else you need to say here to the people?
Do I have anything to say to the people?
The people.
Thanks for coming out to the stream. If you're here, Run the Nets. I see you're here. Thank you. Thank you for anyone who has been viewing me the past couple of weeks. I have started a stream for now 2 weeks. It's going pretty well. So
well said.
Thank you for everyone who's come, followed, got me to affiliate. Appreciate you all.
Well said. Yeah, guys, his link will definitely be in the description of everything as well. And we are going to have a couple YouTube videos coming out as well, little together YouTube videos. I was doing the community spotlight series where I was taking other community members and highlighting their decks and talking it through that on a laptop, and it just wasn't the quality that I needed. It was real jittery. The videos were getting bad, so I impulse bought a PC after seeing Josh's setup. So now we have on the way better equipment, so we can make sure to get really good content out on my end as well, as Josh's stream is fully going and up and running. All right, but enough of that. We have to talk about so much. First off, we got January to July roadmap lined out, like all of it. I mean, they dropped a lot. So first off, they officially announced Shurima is coming out. I feel like that was kind of the obvious choice, right?
I think so. I don't know why. I don't think there was any leaks. It was just like people knew.
Yeah, it's just such a big region in League. I feel like there's so many champions from it, and it was just kind of like, yeah, it's got to be Shurima next, right?
Yeah, I think so. It has a really cool like design aspect to it. The whole gods, the sands, just like they said in the one video, the sands give, but they also take kind of thing. Really cool.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's just go through this month by month then, Josh, and just talk about each little thing that we have here. January, all that we have here is the co-op first AI lab.
All that we have.
Dude, it was honestly incredible. If you guys haven't done that, it was amazing. We can just talk about that right now, actually, because we had that listed for later. But let's just jump in because it's the first thing that we talked about. So it's a co-op lab where you're playing against the computer, and this computer is a army of Noxus, right?
Yep.
And you both are playing. You share board, you share mana, all that stuff, and you have 2 different hands, and you essentially pick a champion at the beginning. And then that's your champion. They give you a pre-made deck based around that champion. Your ally has a different champion. And you have every round you have a card or 2 that costs 0 that passes cards between each other's hands. So you can kind of try to help your ally's next turn. One of you is always on offense, one of you is always on defense. So what did we do, Josh? We played 4, right?
Yeah, we played 4. And we made sure we got different champion combinations every time.
Yeah. Yeah, Braum was definitely the worst.
It was Braum Thresh. So what are we supposed to do?
Braum Thresh. We were stuck. We had to use that one. That was pretty bad. Yeah, but we did that live on your stream, which was fun, and we were in the process of turning that into 4 separate YouTube videos, so we'll have those all out. But Yeah, the Lee Sin Trundle one was my favorite.
Oh, that one was crazy. We healed like 40 something damage throughout the whole match.
Yeah,
we had eggplants everywhere.
Eggplants everywhere. Yeah, we got to put Overwhelm on Lee Sin with Augur of the Old Ones. It was insane.
Yeah, it's pretty
like what?
Pretty insane combo. I'm surprised I haven't seen that on ladder before. Maybe it's just too slow, but
Yeah, probably. It was pretty nuts. Yeah, regenerating, Overwhelm Lee Sin was stupid. But yeah, honestly, it was very challenging. I mean, the game, 2 games, that game we got down to 2 health, but a previous game where they got a level Darius on turn 4, we were down to 1 health at one point.
Yeah, and if they swung, we would have lost. But great AI came in to save us. So
yeah, dumb AI. Yeah, and literally just leveled Zoe was the only thing that saved us. So yeah, that game mode is seriously incredible. And I was tweeting about today. It was so polished and well done that it's like everything they do. I feel like when they first put out new things, it always is so polished and looks so clean. Like the tournament mode functioned perfectly. This functioned perfectly. I'm super impressed.
Yeah, it's super it's amazing. During COVID times, how they come in. Obviously, there's card games before, so they can learn from past mistakes. But they just come in, they put their full effort into it, and yeah, there's bugs here and there. There's some, cards that people don't want here and there. But like when they just go all in on these big things, like the labs, they're definitely increasing, the playability and basically realm to be explored every time that they do it. They're pushing that. The tournament went super smoothly, so it's just the start of the game pretty much, and they're already killing it. So,
yeah, no, like honestly, I've played Hearthstone's versions of like 2-player things, and like their whatever their tavern brawls, and they can be fun. It was just this felt so much cleaner, so much quicker. It was super impressive, super impressive. So yeah, that was all we got for January. So we got that, and probably another balance patch. We got a tiny balance patch right now, but we'll get a bigger balance patch.
It was big enough.
It wasn't even a balance patch. Just a patch.
That is very true.
Yeah, I mean it wasn't even supposed to have any balance. So, all right. Other than that, January's cleaned up. February they announced a new type of expansion, and here we're just kind of go through it. We know you guys have seen this, the roadmap as well. We're going to go through. We're going to do our own speculations of what things could be, and kind of talk about all that jazz. But February, it looks like Aphelios Champion expansion is coming out. So they announced a new card release system in between sets that is just going to. It appears to just be like one champion. Yeah. I don't know if he's going to get any support cards or what.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of. They only showed Aphelios so far. With his weapons, and there was one. Was that his? Was that his spell?
Yeah, that's what people are speculating. Is the one spell they showed? Is that just his champ spell? Is that why they showed it? Or
yeah. So if they just insert a champion into Targon, that's pretty hysterical. I'll take it. New champion, new building space. I'm all for it. But them just giving us new cards is great. Whether it's just Aphelios or he has his own little bundle, that'd be great.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, is the Shurima release actually going to give another Targon champion? Or are they getting their champion early for Targon?
Oh, that makes sense.
They're going to have no champion added to Targon all the way until Shurima's through, which would make it seem like, wow, Targon got nothing for 6 months, no champion at least.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I'd assume since the way they broke up the last expansion, there's some cards here, some cards there. If they do just give us Aphelios, then, cards that support him will come, I'd hope, in the first expansion. So then, Targon does feel like it at least got a little bit and it's not outdated. I don't think Targon's ever going to feel outdated just because of how strong it is.
Yes, agreed.
It's kind of funny how these new regions come in and, they seem like they're a little underwhelming at first, and now we're like a couple months in from Bilgewater, a month in or a couple months in from Targon, I should say, and they've had their moment of just blasting the meta, just coming straight forth and just overwhelming the meta with decks. It's just all of a sudden people start optimizing and realizing wow, this is really strong. Wow, this is really strong. Just because of little nerfs allows a little bit of breath, and both of these regions have just impacted the meta for months now. Just Bilgewater and Targon back to back.
They really have. Yeah, they've both been extremely powerful. And you know, it's funny because like right when it first dropped, a lot of people were like, "Man, this power level is kind of weak." And it's like, I mean, it's pretty good. It's, you know, and it was like at the very beginning, you know, it looked a little iffy, but it came together perfectly.
Yeah.
Other than that, in February it says a single player Legends Lab.
That sounds
I'm not sure what
interesting.
that means.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know a lot of people like want to be able to like if they're tired of like ladder or they're tired of just like versing other people, they like to have like a single player experience like they're working towards something.
yeah,
So you know if they just throw in a lab with a goal, they just get to you get to go in just mess around against AI, you know, express some random skills for the lab. I think it's there's a pretty good spot for it.
yeah. Absolutely. I mean, the one previously I had pretty good fun with where you had to pick Leona or Diana and you had to
Mm.
climb the mountain and do all that. Like it was pretty entertaining. So if it's something along those lines, I'm down for sure.
Yeah,
Any
definitely.
new way to play the game is fun.
Yeah, I
So
mean, we just versed AI Noxus, so if they have something that's fun in a single player one, then
yeah,
I'm all for it.
yeah, we did it 4 times and I was having a blast. Like, and it was challenging and all that too. It was super good. So underneath that little picture, it says champion expansion, deck bundle, lunar celebration cosmetics, and the seasonal tournament. So we'll end here for a second at February because in game they have their own calendar of breaking down exactly what's coming. So let's jump to that before we get to March, April, May, June, July.
Yeah.
Because when you just read co-op lab and then Aphelios champion expansion, you're kind of like, all right, that's it, whatever. But they broke it down a little bit better in here. So January 13th, that was yesterday. That was the co-op AI lab. So that hit and it's amazing. If you haven't played it, definitely play it. Super fun. February 3rd, Aphelios comes out. So that's like right away, beginning of February. This isn't end of February talk. This is February 3rd.
Yeah, like 20 days away.
Yes, like very soon, Aphelios is coming. On top of that, they always do a new lab every 2 weeks. It's Heimer's Madness Lab, so it's a new lab with high risk experiments, whatever that means. And then February 17th, so that's 2 weeks after that, is the single player Legends Lab, Progress and Power Up. So it's going to be some other type of single player experience that I'm sure will award experience and other things as well, and will be super fun. So that's February as far as the patch cycle goes, but also in February is the second seasonal tournament.
I
So
didn't
they
even realize
announced
that.
the date. Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
they announced the date right here. So Aphelios will be viable for the second seasonal tournament.
Well, yeah, that's. I mean, they definitely scheduled that on purpose.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't even realize. I mean, I saw the roadmap obviously when they did that video. I just
Yes.
kind of glanced at the second roadmap that they gave us, and I
Yeah.
didn't even realize that it said that the seasonal tournament was right there. I was kind of like looking at like the first roadmap and then there, so it's kind of like sequential.
Yeah.
I didn't realize the dates, but yeah, I didn't realize it was coming up that soon.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy. So this is the 19th is going to be the cutoff. So that's a month and 5 days away from today. Uh, that's the cutoff for the seasonal tournament. So you either have to be top 700 masters or get your prime glories in because that will be also the last chance gauntlet that day. That's a Friday, and then on Sunday the seasonal tournament open rounds will happen. So again, that's the top 1,200. I'm sorry, 1,024 players. That's the open rounds on the 21st, Sunday the 21st. And then the last day of February, the 28th, will be the playoffs. So the top 32 of that. And that officially ends February for Legends of Runeterra right there. So they're literally ending on the last day of February with the top 32 for the seasonal. Pretty
Makes
excited.
sense. It is pretty exciting. Yeah, maybe I'll be in master since I'm streaming. You know, I'm playing enough games now to hopefully climb. This week wasn't so good with climbing, but maybe you'll see me in there in a month.
Yeah, I mean, we have plenty of time still. I mean, plenty of time. I'm Diamond 2. You have plenty of time to get there, everybody out there. You also have plenty of Prime Glories left to earn. A lot, actually. I mean, you have, uh, I think there's only been 3 chances so far, right? Or there might
I
have been
think so.
4. Yeah, 3 or 4. So you have at least 3 more chances to get more Prime Glories. And again, we'll stress this more as we get close, but it didn't really matter how many prime glories you had. Even if you just got your 7 wins, you were getting in. Not many people were doing the last chance gauntlet very quickly. So that was the first time around. So we'll talk about that more as we go. We'll jump back up to the first one here, Josh. So for March, new set, they're calling it the Empires of the Ascended There's an expansion event pass with that. There's a champion mastery new thing coming out, and there's another social lab all coming out in March. So we can break that down more down here. But I mean, first off, Shurima is I'm beyond hyped. Some of my favorite characters from League are from Shurima, so I'm extremely excited. I feel like there's a lot of fan favorites.
Oh yeah, definitely
from League.
Yeah, the Renekton, Nasus, like a Mumu, Azir has been played a ton, especially competitively and stuff like that. Yeah, there's a ton of champions that are in Shurima that definitely can make some interesting cards. I think there's some really cool mechanics. They kind of glazed over, given some hints where they're using like finding lost relics. So who knows what that could be. I don't know if that's like a mini quest. If you play a card and you have like a mini quest to find the lost relic, or it could even just be a last breath and you collect relics. I really want to see how they do. It's called Empires of the Ascendant. So something is going to have a mechanic of ascending. So I really want to know how they do that. I don't know if that's just a buff in stats, if that keyword represents something else. Maybe they tie into Enlightened and make that a little bit more viable, or I should say open. Yeah. So I'm super excited.
And, great question from chat too, which we'll take. Run the Nets is asking, if you don't know anything about League, what do I need to know about this new region? And that's a great question because, we do take for granted, like, we know all these, we're talking about Amumu's Q last episode. Not everyone knows, or cares about League of Legends that plays this game. So Shurima is, from what I know, and I know the surface level of Shurima, but it is desert-esque people. It's Egyptian themed. There are these ascended people that are like gods, and they're pretty insane. And then as far as the power of like what they come from is what I was talking about last episode, is a lot of them have like this hardiness or like strongness that like they drain a lot of health around it. They're very tanky and things like that. So I could see like a Mumu, Renekton, Rammus kind of building off of that type of feel where they're just draining health and doing something along those lines. So I feel like some form of drain back to them would be cool for like those three champions. But beyond that, for thematic purposes, like they definitely hinted, like you said, at like an Indiana Jones-esque, what kind of relics are out there, like what can you discover and that type of thing, which is super fun as well. So I mean, that's what I'm expecting. Josh, do you have any other thing else that you want to add to expectations for Shurima?
You kind of mentioned Rammus. I wonder if it's going to be our first like you could do damage, like extra damage on defense, or Rammus is just a rock, and every time you hit him with anything, something takes damage. That'd be pretty cool mechanic to put in. But yeah, just
that'd be sweet. Yeah.
In terms of expecting, I'm just expecting some type of obviously new keywords, but new mechanics, new kind of like mini quests to play for. It might even be something along the line. So they said the relics, so maybe there is like something adding, like they added the landmarks, but something you could add to your deck to like really go forth with a win con or a strategy for a deck. So
you know what? I'll go on record now. I have I'm building off of what you're saying. So I think something that's going to get played with the relics is like the inverse of what Teemo Shrooms are. So Teemo Shrooms get buried in your opponent's deck. You're going to bury things in your own deck, and once you draw them, you'll get a reward.
That'd be pretty cool.
Just makes Twisted Fate even more popular. But I like that. The other thing is like I feel like Bilgewater didn't have any obvious like massive beings, and then they added in the sea monsters, right? And it's like, oh, that's a cool way to make these giant-esque things that are really powerful and huge. And then Targon, it's like, all right, we have these celestials, we have these dragons that are massive. Is there something in League lore? Like, is Baron from the desert? Like, I have no idea what's going on. But is there something like that, like some massive thing in that region? Like the ascended beings, obviously, but that's probably going to be a couple of champions and things. But is there something that I'm missing there?
I don't know enough about Shurima to know. I just know like, Azir is god, Xerath is fallen. They could do something along the battle between Renekton and Nasus, which could be pretty interesting.
That'd be sick, yeah.
They're for lore wise, they're brothers, and they both were made to defend either the Ascended Throne or watch the captives or whatever. And Xerath end up like basically tormenting Renekton into turning on his brother. So now they're in a war for forever, basically. So I don't know if they're going to play along that. That'd be pretty cool. Thematic thing between these two entities, I guess you could call them, because they're more than just regular beings. Basically, just going at it, especially with their followers and the spells that they get. So
for sure.
Other than that, I just know Ramos rolls around the desert. Rek'Sai goes through the desert. Cassiopeia went there. She's from Noxus, so maybe she could tie in with Shurima because she got her powers from Shurima. So maybe there'd be some Noxus Shurima synergy going on.
That's kind of cool because it's like MF and Quinn pair so well together, but they don't really have anything in the lore aligning them together. So it'd be cool to see a champion that is in a different region that clearly has a lore tie as well as a mechanic tie to the new region. That'd be sweet.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm expecting a lot. To break it down further, in the in-game roadmap, there is more about this. So on March 3rd, new region with an event pass. We don't know what, and we've seen other event passes, but not with a region release. So we're not exactly sure what that means.
Yeah.
But the most hype thing I just said was March 3rd. It's a full release date. March 3rd, it's happening.
There's so much region. March 3rd.
Yes, there's a lot of March 3rd stuff, but mainly new cards. So February 3rd and then March 3rd. Aphelios, then a new region. And this is a new set and region, so it's going to be big. It's going to be most likely at least 4 champions from the new region and 2 to 3 other ones as well from other regions. So it will be large. On top of that, a new cosmetic, a new swag for champion mastery. So they haven't really released a whole lot of details other than playing certain games or doing missions with your champions will level them up and you'll get to show something off with your champion.
Yeah, so in League they have like it's like a 7-level mastery, and you go from 1 through 5, and then after that you have to do really well with them to level up to the next part of the mastery. But you get to spam your mastery emote, so like you get to spam that your mastery level 7. So I wonder if it's just gonna have like multiple tiers of the mastery, and basically as you play with them in your deck, or I guess maybe you might even be able to choose like a mastery emote along with your 6 emote pages. That you could just spam.
That'd be sweet.
So you just have like a Lucian constantly popping up if you play with him a ton.
That'd be sick. I mean, I'm all for extra style, extra ways to swag. So like, absolutely. And this is cool because it's also like, if you have played a ton, but you're like, I really just want to finish off my Lucian mastery or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just more reason to grind, more reasons to play,
Oh yeah, definitely. I wonder if this is where like maybe the champions will have like special card art. I feel like they wouldn't do that, but for like your mastery, if the card art got like more exaggerated or
absolutely
just more flair on the card or something like that. I know they added the border, but obviously they could keep going. It's a digital card game.
Oh yeah,
they could just add a whole bunch of flares to the cards and stuff. So
I like all those ideas. Yeah, furthering the cosmetic of the actual card, giving you a different emote, anything like that would be super sweet and super worth grinding for, in my opinion. So. Also on March 3rd, Social Lab Duo Queue. So people are hypothesizing this is a 2v2 mode. And that's super interesting. Like I said, I mean, the 2-player versus AI mode was amazing. So I'm beyond hyped for this. On top of it being a release of new, I mean, there's going to be a metric buttload, as I always say, of stuff to do on March 3rd. I mean, all new cards, start grinding champion masteries, and you have a 2v2 mode. Expected a 2v2 mode. That's pretty insane.
It is. You can obviously expect a stream.
Yes.
Shane and I duo queuing.
100%.
Maybe we could actually accept challengers. That'd be pretty funny.
Yeah, absolutely.
Accept teams of 2.
I might even have a real computer by then too, dude.
Oh yeah, you might be able to play this with like high quality.
That's why. Yeah, I need to get 0.5 refresh rate for my Runeterra games.
You need to see those cards as fast as possible.
Yes.
You need to click on them and move them as fast as possible.
Also on March 3rd, Cosmic Creation season obviously will end and a new ranked season will begin then. So just like last time, it was a little bit confusing how it worked last time. So the seasonal tournament happens and the cutoff happens before that. So the cutoff for February will be the 19th. But you can still make masters for the rewards after that. So you have all the way until March 3rd now to make masters to get whatever icon you will get from the Cosmic Creation season. Does that make sense? So you have plenty of time still to get to Masters after, or to get to gold, or to get to whatever level you want to get your reward for the ladder. And presumably it will be icons again. That's really all we've gotten before. Who knows? They might change that one day. So the seasonal tournament will always happen like 2 weeks prior to the season cutoff. So you'll still be able to get to Masters after that, which is important to notice. So yeah, there's a lot happening March 3rd and February. So I mean that would have been enough there.
But they wanted to keep going.
But they kept going. So in April, Legends of Runeterra anniversary celebration, whatever that means, that's probably the year that it launched in April, right? Officially, I think, right?
Yes.
Out of the last beta or something. Yeah, I forget exactly. Because we were playing during beta and stuff. We were playing during the closed betas, so I forget exactly when it launched. But anniversary celebration and another social lab, and there's a Legends lab as well. So there'll be every time there's a anniversary, or every time there's a social lab, that's essentially most likely a duo lab, a 2-player lab, is my guess, and a Legends lab is the single player lab.
Yeah.
So we'll get both more of those in April and a celebration. And thank you, Scully, for saying it did launch officially April 30th. So that will be then. They didn't further break this down. So this is all we have to go on for right now, Josh.
We don't. It's not enough. They need to break every month down. I need to see all the details.
We'll get that in March. They'll break it down in March.
They didn't break down enough. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, guys.
They broke down way too much.
We need more. In May, so March happens. May is 2 months later. We will get the first mini expansion, kind of like Monuments of Power. So a new expansion called Guardians of the Ancient. Now, Monuments of Power introduced us to landmarks for the first time in the game. So it is possible that they keep that theme going, where they really want to introduce something big in the second mini expansion for a new card type or a new keyword or something larger.
Relics.
Relics, exactly. Like, Reforge even was a new keyword for the last one. So like, definitely going to be more hype stuff. And as the game grows and there's more expansions in the game, each of these sets will be larger than the first 3 sets we just got now for a Targon.
Yeah.
So that's hyped. There'll be another themed event. There'll be another social lab and Legends lab, and there will be, Josh, champion skins.
Incredible. Coming from League, you had to expect skins, and then they're early talking like. You think that like obviously they're cards, so maybe they wanted to wait to experiment with like the alternate universes that they have.
Fair, yeah.
But this League, every champion has a ton of skins. You had to expect it coming soon, and basically, in 5 months we will have skins for our cards, and
yes, we will.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, skins will be pretty nuts. I want them to make as much money as possible so the game continues, and they give you all the cards for free pretty much. So yes. I really do hope that happens, and they are at least affordable. But they just like in League, they can do the different rarities of skins as well. It'll be cool. Yeah. They already have the rarity system in the store, so doing that for skins would be sweet. This is where it gets a little confusing. It says May new expansion, and then it says June new expansion. For those that are keeping track, those months are back to back.
Yeah, it's just cards just thrown. I wonder if one's at the beginning of the month, one's at the end.
My guess is it has to be that, right? It has to be like May 3rd, because everything happens on the 3rd, is new expansion, and then like June 30th.
Or
maybe it'd be so quick.
Maybe they realized no, actually in between. So for the Targon release, the Call of the Mountain stuff. The lull between the initial expansion and the second one, definitely there was that like stale point. But in between the second and third, that's when like the meta was booming and everyone was playing, and it was great. So I was gonna say maybe they learned from like mistakes that people didn't want to wait that long. But the gap between the second release and the third release, there was one patch that just made it all pretty good. I guess before that patch it was kind of bad. Like in terms of
a couple moments.
In terms of people's reception to it.
Right.
So maybe that's what they're trying to avoid. If they do
that's
beginning months.
Super quick back to back. It also says in June social/Legends Lab. So literally April, June, and May all have that tag in this roadmap, which is pretty insane.
Yeah.
For sure. On top of that, we didn't even mention, but in April and in June, there is a seasonal tournament. So obviously February, April, June. So every even month there, we have a seasonal tournament, which is insane because we're not even talking about that. And this expansion, by the way, will be called Rise of the Underworlds, which has me beyond hyped because, I like the Underworlds.
Rise of the Underworlds. That sounds fantastic. Like, I really liked Empire of the Ascendant. Guardians of the Ancient sounds really cool, but Empire of the Ascendant still sounds cooler. But Rise of the Underworlds, like, that sounds incredible.
I love that they drop the names now, too. I think it's so funny. It'll just get us speculating now instead of being like, oh, this is called Cosmic Creations, by the way, like right before it comes out. And we're all like, oh, but like if they would have said that originally, I know we had some leaks, which was unfortunate, but we would have been creations. Does Zoe create a bunch of stuff? What's going on? We would have been freaking out.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of gives you insight. So, like, Empire of the Ascendant, so it's probably going to, start out with the big ones, like, their gods, the ones that were ascended. And then Guardians of the Ancient, I guess that's the before the Ascendant, maybe. But then Rise of the Underworld, I don't even know what if Cassiopeia was to come out, that might be then. If Xerath was to come out, that might be then. That's like a super huge release if that is like, Xerath's big coming out, Rise of the Underworlds. I think that's super cool. It kind of shows like a good side and then transitioning into a dark side for Shurima, which if it has like those two aspects, it's pretty cool. It's like the good side of Demacia and then the bad side of, like Shadow Isles kind of morphed into one region.
Totally saying the same thing. Xerath is coming out in June, guys. That's what we've heard here.
I mean, if Rise of the Underworlds, that makes sense.
That it is the one that makes the most sense out of all the ones I know, and I know very little. But yeah, that makes the most sense. That's a ton of content in the spring here, but the winter, we still got to talk about Aphelios fully, but even, that would be hype enough, but then they go even further out all the way to July because they're just like, F it, why not? And July has another champion expansion. So that will be the second as Aphelios is the first. We don't know what that's going to be. It's going to be another champion. Maybe, and just maybe, one of the regions doesn't get a champion in all of this Shurima release, and then they get it in July.
Yeah, maybe.
That's a possibility, depending on how the numbers work out. We kind of all have figured it out to a science where it was, Targon's going to get 4, and then 1, and then 1, and that leaves the other regions to get this. The math has changed now that there's 8 current regions.
Yep.
So champion expansions could help that, or it could just be a thing where they try to do, champion expansions or kind of just bonus add-ons. We don't know yet, but that's another one coming out in July, as well as another themed event. So whatever that means, I mean, this is a lot. The one thing that confuses me here in between May and June is that there will be a seasonal tournament in June. Now, will that be just of Guardians of the Ancient, or will that be of both Rise of the Underworld and Guardians of the Ancient? That is a question that we'll have to wait to find out the answer to. But yeah, it's just an interesting thing with the expansions coming back to back. So
because of that, I feel like the expansion might be coming in the beginning of June then. Actually,
so crazy, so fast.
That seems like a lot for people to like get, get to masters and also build a lineup. It seems
figure out new cards, get to masters, build a lineup.
So maybe maybe after the seasonal tournament, the expansion will come out. That would make more sense in terms of keeping like competitiveness healthy. Just because if you go into people are now preparing for these seasonal tournaments. Like I'm sure people are getting into masters right away, and it's kind of hard to prepare for one without patches and stuff. But you could still start like learning matchups of like decks that have been around for a little while now.
Yeah.
But if you're just throw new cards at people and be like, oh, you're going to go into a tournament with this, I'm sure people would be a little frustrated, not knowing how to 100% play around or with this new card that they were given. So
for sure. Like just, we could dive into as hard as we wanted to, but like just pulling up the calendar for June, I mean, the 19th or the 20th and 27th are Sundays. So that could easily be the seasonal tournament, 20th and 27th. And then there is still time because that Wednesday where the cards will be released is still June 30th, technically. So that could just be like, okay, that's when it's coming.
I think that
very
might make
last
sense.
day of June. It makes sense with what the release is for February, because the seasonal tournament ends on 28th and then March 3rd is the cards. So 3 days right after that. So I could see it being that, but I mean, who knows? It could be anything. I mean, it does seem like that would be a clean way to separate all of the stuff you were just talking about with new cards and then trying to figure out a lineup, getting masters that quickly, and all that jazz. And I want every set to have its own room to breathe as well. So
Yep, yeah, it makes sense.
I mean, there's just so much here. I mean, we're going to be talking about it for up until July. All this
Yes,
stuff,
we will.
so we don't have to ripe on it too much longer here. But is there anything else you want to talk about as far as the roadmap?
Yeah, in July they talked about a new themed event. I'm hoping we get some pool party skins in Runeterra. League always throws out their pool party. I mean, yeah, their pool party skins every year, and I definitely want some of those pool party skins as cards in Runeterra. So
yeah, I really want. I don't know where. Somewhere in this, Ruin King fits here somewhere.
Oh, true.
Now I don't know where that fit. I mean, it has to, in my opinion. I mean, they're pushing that. Not only pushing that game because it's the first game coming out from Riot Forge or whatever.
Yeah.
But they're pushing it because he's coming out in League as a playable champion.
That's true.
It's got to be somewhere in this release.
Yeah.
But they also have the Lunar Celebration cosmetics as well. So it's like, does that take over for that? I don't know. I don't know where I could see it happening. But I want it, man.
Yeah, I mean that's super cool. I mean, in May, it says like there's a new themed event. I see.
That's true.
I felt like he was going to be being released earlier in the year, so I can't imagine that event for the Ruined King being in May. Maybe they still have surprises for us. Maybe they're just like, oh, we're gonna lay all this information out. So they'll be looking forward to it, and then we'll still throw surprises in there because they have done that. We'll be like, oh, we're doing okay. They're like, oh, here's another event. Oh, we're doing okay. Oh, here's new cards. So there's.
I mean, they snuck the prismatic thing in like right before the new year, so they're crazy with that. They're I guarantee you there'll be more than this as well, and it's just starting, man. This is to me. I know a lot of people walked away from that stream. I guess this is a good point to talk about this as well. But a lot of people walked away from that reveal a little upset. At least the people I follow on Twitter, which is more of the competitive aspect, right? I follow a lot of the people who are into the game are people who are mostly trying to be super competitive because they want to live, breathe, and eat Runeterra. Whereas the other side of that is just casual players and also just content creators like us who we're just eat, breathe, sleeping because we love the game so much, not necessarily because we want to be the best or most competitive.
Yeah.
But a lot of those competitive players walked away a little disappointed because there wasn't a lot of updates on the competitive side of things. We already were told that this next seasonal tournament wasn't going to have any updates because they went on a giant break and it's really hard to implement new updates. So this next seasonal tournament, same situation as last time. People are going to be disappointed. That's fine. And then I guess they were disappointed because they didn't, in this grouping, they didn't announce anything else for competitive play, which it would have been a good time if you have a lot of eyes on your screen. If you would have said, "Hey, $100,000 tournament, world champion or something," yeah, it would have been a good time to do it. Mm-hmm. I just don't think they wanted to clog that area. Like they wanted to be like, "Look, Shurima plus," and then the seasonal tournament will get announced just like, or any other tournament will get announced just like they announced seasonal, which is kind of just when they feel like it.
Yeah, pretty much. I know. Was it when we were talking to Umbridge? They kind of said that or maybe it wasn't Umbridge. I think it was an article that came out that kind of said that they were going to let the esports scene develop. For a while. So I wonder if this is like their first card game that they put out. Obviously, they're having huge success with the casual players. They definitely. I mean, like everyone was going. Like there was a ton of people. Everyone that I was following on Twitter was fighting for that for the seasonal tournament. So like they definitely got it, like an influx of games of people like trying to rank up, trying to get in the Masters. Yeah. So they might just be like easing into the esports scene, trying to build their competitive scenes so that when they do open the esports, it's like done correctly and not just thrown out there and then people lose interest and it just fizzles.
Yeah,
they do have a very successful esports scene in League, and I think Valorant's doing pretty well also. So they might be taking a while, but I trust in that they have a vision in where they're going to get a really nice competitive scene eventually. Maybe not in this first half of the year, but maybe towards the end we'll start seeing more.
Listen, to me, it works like this. It's yes, you want to have competitive environments that will attract people to the game. 100%.
Mm.
I agree with that. When Hearthstone first came out, it didn't have this massive competitive following. That grew as the game grew. You want to have a solid game that people want to play. It gets in the hands of a billion people, and then you start introducing competitive scenes and people get hyped around that. There are games that came out and they said, we're going to have this amazing competitive scene, but then the game sucked. Artifact, we're all looking at you. Your game sucked, and you had a buy-in for a card game that should have been free, and you promised $1 million tournaments, and then you ran 0 tournaments because no one wanted to play your game.
Yeah, it was like a $30 buy-in, right?
Yes, it was a $30 just to play the game, and then people did that because they knew they were going to get a tournament out of it that was going to be worth millions of dollars. So yes, they did build that hype, but the game was bad, and they're making Artifact 2 now. They literally scrapped the whole game, stopped making it, and redoing it. But you need the base to be as strong as can be.
Yes.
Before you've launched these massive competitive scenes, for sure. So it is a patience thing. I know there's people out there who want to just go pro, and that side of it, we don't focus on that side a whole lot here, because there are a lot of people who do focus really well on that, including our last guest. Blevins is all over the tournament casting, and he can tell you all the pairings and all that, and their team does a great job. But you need a base, and I think even a lot of people would agree with that. You need the base to be super strong. That is actually just a great game first, get all the other things going, get people hyped about the game, playing with their friends, loving League, loving Runeterra, all that stuff, and then build the competitive environment. Exactly like you said, they're just taking their time with it.
Yeah, I think League was super popular for a while, and they always had a competitive scene, but they didn't really start to grow it until they were the most popular game in the world. So
yeah,
they made sure they had their base, they made sure the game was there to last, and then they eased into their whole franchising system. So,
that's exactly where I'm at with it.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly it. I think they're going to take their time. The people who are like, oh, they're having big tournaments, the game's fine. The game is totally fine, guys. The game's not dead because other tournaments are going on,
Yeah. I mean, there's always going to be more room for other games to thrive. Like, it's not like this is going to take up 100% of the card game space. Like, new games are coming out left and right. Just card games in general. So yeah. So even though other things are doing tournaments and being successful, this still has a space to have tournaments and be successful. If there's anything that I've only been playing this card game for I guess a year now. I haven't really been in the card game scene at all. But card games are very come and go. So like new cards will be released, a bunch of people will playing, get to Masters, kind of meet their goal for the season, and then they'll die out. And then new cards will come out, and then a whole rush of players come, and all this stuff. So and they're doing as much as they can to keep a fan base, consistently with giving us this roadmap and something every single month so that influx of player keeps coming in. But even with this, there's still going to be that period of like, oh, I'm going to go try these new Hearthstone cards real quick. I'm going to go try these new MTG cards real quick. That's just how the card game community works. At least from my experience so far, they're just kind of cycling between card games because they love card games and they want to play with new cards and different mechanics and stuff like that. So
exactly,
it's going to happen. But I think this game's Runeterra has definitely done pretty much everything correctly so far in its first year. And
the baseline is so strong already. I mean, they implemented a great system. They implemented awesome ways to release expansions and content. It's incredible. For those who are wondering, the person who is the lead designer for set 3, Empires of the Ascended, his name is Mark Sazanrath, aka Riot G Major. So it'd be cool if we got to talk to him at one point, right?
Oh, definitely. I would definitely appreciate and enjoy talking to him.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. Yeah, we should probably do that, right?
I think we should.
Yeah, we probably should. All right, moving on. We have Aphelios. Aphelios is a new champion who I cannot believe it is coming here in 2 weeks, right? Or 3 weeks, I guess, technically. Right,
yes.
Third, yeah. 3 weeks, we'll have Aphelios. He was designed by the guy who runs the live team, Ruben Zoo. Ruben Zoo designed Aphelios, and he is a mouthful. Oh my gosh, he does a lot. I'll try to read it real quick. So he's a 3-drop 3/3. He has a Nightfall ability. So when he's played with Nightfall, you pick a moon weapon to create in hand. And then there's this new mechanic called phasing. How things work is all the weapons will phase two other weapons. You get to pick one of the weapons that they phase, and then essentially that becomes in like this wish list is the best way I've heard it described. And when you play two other cards in a round, you create that item that you put in your wish list. You create that phased moon weapon in your hand if you don't already have one. So essentially, you play a weapon, you create another weapon that's kind of on this cusp that's not out yet. When you play two other cards, then you get that other. So you're like reloading all of his weapons. He levels up when you've casted 4 moon weapons. He doesn't have to see that. He can level up in deck, which is cool. He gains quick attack and +1/+1. He still has the same Nightfall, but round start, and when you've played 2 other cards in hand, you create the phased moon weapon. So now you'll do it even at the round start, which is super sweet, and they all cost 1 less as well. So like I said, that's just on his text. He's a mouthful. You get past that, then you go to his 5 cards that he can create. And they're all pretty crazy. So they're all, the easy part is they're all 2-cost slow spells. So you don't have to read their mana every time, but they do a bunch of different things. One deals 3 damage. One stuns a 2-cost follower. I'm sorry, one summons a 2-cost follower from your deck, and then if it has Nightfall, you get to trigger Nightfall. One stuns an enemy, and then at the beginning of the next turn, if it was a follower, stuns it again. One gives an ally +1/+2 and lifesteal, and the other one gives an ally overwhelm and +2/+1. There were other versions that were released at first, but the most recent up-to-date versions that will get shipped, and that's confirmed by Ruben Zoo and by Sean Main, are the 2 that I just listed. So it is a give ability for both the lifesteal and the overwhelm. It is not a grant ability. And the stats are +1/+2 and then +2/+1, respectively. Now, each of these weapons phase 2 other weapons, and I'm not going to go through all that because I don't want to read the entire rest of the cast. But essentially, each weapon can phase one of 2 other weapons. So you actually have to plan out multiple turns when you're playing this guy, right?
Yes, it definitely is going to be a high skill level. His decks, if you're using him, if he's like the center, he seems like more of like a support piece to finishing something later.
Yeah, I agree.
But he seems like an engine to do something later, basically. You're definitely going to have a smart, playthrough. It's like, okay, if I play this weapon on turn 3, what am I going to get by turn 5 or 7, basically? If that's how you're playing him. So yeah, he's definitely going to have a ton of build space, a ton of experimentation. When he comes out, I have a feeling he's going to feel somewhat bad just because of how complex his kit kind of is. But I think with how versatile he can be, what we've seen is like TF took a while to get going, but as soon as people realized his versatility, he's been in a deck ever since.
Yeah.
So I think Aphelios will kind of show that same pattern.
Yeah, he's super, super flexible. Apparently your mom's watching.
Yes. Hello, Mom. How's it going?
Yeah, he's super flexible. Very interesting what he does. His weapons are just wild. I mean, they're just super insane, and they do so many different things. I wrote a full article about him on Runeterra CCG, so you can check that out. And deck build with some ideas. Obviously, access to Overwhelm in Targon, another access to it. So this is the 3rd access to it, right? You have Zenith Blade, you have the Ipex little mountain thing, and then you have this. So yeah, you have a lot of options for that. So obviously you can pair it with Lee Sin, and the moon weapons are spells. That's cool. He has obvious Nightfall synergy, which is super sweet. And even just like being able to play him with a Dusk Petal is pretty insane.
Yeah, definitely. Turn 2.
It seems good, yeah. And then even if you play him on turn 3 and you saved your 2-cost or your 2 mana from turn 2, then you can actually play whatever weapon you want as well.
Is that how it works? Oh, with your pedal, you mean, right?
With your so if you play Dusk, if you see a Duskbringer and then him, if you still play anything on turn 2, your turn 3, you'll have enough mana to pedal and play him, and then you'll have 2 spell mana from turn 2 left.
Oh, I don't know if that'll work because it says when you play 2 other cards in a round.
Oh no, I just mean to play him on turn 3.
Oh, I got you.
Nightfall.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. So there's like a lot of crazy combos. Even if like the one weapon that it's probably not going to be his optimal weapon, but it intrigues me a ton is the Crescendum one, the one that summons a 2-cost follower.
Yeah, no, that's the craziest one, I think.
Even if it doesn't have like Nightfall, like if it has any type of summon effect, it's super funny. Especially even if it doesn't have a summon effect, but if you're playing like Lee Sin and you summon your Sparkle Flyer, Eye of the Dragon on the board, like you're instantly ready to beat an aggro deck. Instantly ready. Whenever I go into Lee Sin, I'm like, please don't have Eye of the Dragon. Please don't have Eye of the Dragon. But now if you could guarantee you have Eye of the Dragon, it's like, okay, I guess I lost this match.
Yeah, that's very true because you can deck build accordingly. You can just run Eye of the Dragon. Eye of the Dragon. That's your only 2-drop, and now you're guaranteed that is a tutor for it. Yeah.
Yeah, super crazy. There's some funny things that I thought, like if Eager Apprentice could be used to get the 2 mana, to then do something after that.
Yeah, it refreshes that. Attune just works too. Like even Eye of the Dragon will get you 1 mana back because that's a summoned effect too.
Yeah. Yeah, anything like that, any 2-drop that gives you something, it gets you a ton of value.
Yeah.
So it might not be optimal, but there might be a deck that can abuse that early and prepare for the late game, like a Lee Sin deck.
He seems like he just fits. I mean, Zoe does so much for Lee Sin, but yeah, he does. If Zoe doesn't exist and we're looking at Lee Sin deck from outside that, like you said, access to those important 2-drops is super, super strong for that deck. It'll really help them stabilize. Also, Lifesteal is super solid because that also helps them stabilize if they're missing drops. And then obviously Overwhelm helps them complete the OTK. He's super, super flexible. He definitely could come, like you said, at the very beginning and just kind of people don't know what to do with him, not really sure what's going on. And, realistically, he's just a 3/3 body, and that's it on turn 3 sometimes. And that might happen, and Nightfalling might be annoying, and he might really rely on other Nightfall support cards. But the flexibility of this card is too high for me to look at him and be like, yeah, he's bad. Because there's just so much he could do.
Yeah, he's doing, he can do a ton. I do worry that maybe he is too slow for certain metas.
Yeah, I agree.
But, we'll just have to find out and see because I'm sure someone will be able to break this.
I feel like he's definitely one that he's going to have weird play patterns that we actually need to physically play with. Because you can do all the things in your head. Be like, all right, I play this, then I'm playing this. But like Nightfall in general already has those weird play patterns. So then add that as well with all these spells, when to create them, the next turns that you're going to get them. He is like really hard to wrap your head around to actually figure out how he's going to play on board. So he's definitely like, even Riven was a little bit like that. She was slightly annoying to try to figure out how would she actually play out. He's like tenfold that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
pretty much.
As far as like how he relates to his lead character seems super confusing. So is this accurate?
Yes. You go in there with a bunch of different weapons. If you don't know how to play them, you're just kind of, I'll pick this green weapon. I'll pair it with this red weapon. I'll pair it with this purple weapon, and that's pretty much when you look at his card space that they gave out. It reminds me perfectly of it, and I'm sure playing him will feel the same way.
See, I've never actually played him, but I just read him when he came out in League, and I was like, "What? Who took acid and then designed this character?" Like, he's so confusing. But I mean, this is exactly how he is. He's just like this special weaponist, and he's this crazy assassin guy. He uses 5 different weapons.
Yeah, he should be a blast to play. He should be a blast to build with. His weapons allow so much. I can't wait.
Yeah, he looks sick. The only other card we got was maybe his champion spell. We're not really sure, but it's a gift from beyond. It's a 2-cost burst spell, and essentially it just chooses a moon weapon and you create it in hand. So that's interesting. It does give you burst access to some of these spells.
Yeah.
Obviously, these spells are not burst at that point, but it does give you access to them at burst speed. So if you really need to, on your turn, deal 3 damage to a Fowler, you can just burst that out and get it right away, which is pretty sweet. It's really good for the phase mechanic because you're playing 2 cards right there with the weapon and that.
Yeah.
So there is a possibility to like get a weapon back, and it's going to be weird. You're going to have situations where you could have 2 weapons in your hand at the same time, and then when you go to phase 1, it's going to be like very interesting at certain points. But definitely. I mean, even outside of an Aphelios deck, yes, this is a card that's essentially going to cost 4 mana to do a 2 mana thing, and the phase portion of it won't work. But it's still interesting in the sense that this isn't like Invoke where you get 3 options. I feel like we should have mentioned that.
Yeah.
It's not like Invoke where you pick one of 3 weapons. Like when you pick a moon weapon, you get the choice of all 5. They showed that in the trailer.
Oh, okay.
So the flexibility is bigger than Invoke, where it's like I really need to hit the Golden Sisters or whatever. You don't have that guarantee. Here, it's like if you 100% need to hit the deal 3 to a follower, you will hit that when you Nightfall or when you play this card.
Yes.
That's a lot of flexibility.
It is a ton of flexibility. It's great for, in-game decisions, adapting to situations.
Yeah.
There's a ton to it.
He's going to be absurd in in like Singleton and Expeditions. He's going to be absolutely bonkers in those modes. That makes me so hyped because he's going to do so much. Oh my gosh, yeah, he's just going to come out and be like, "Yep, swinging weapons, and you have no removal in your deck."
Yeah, pretty much. He actually his flexibility in that regards actually adds consistency in the Singleton stuff like that.
It
That's
does.
pretty funny.
That's all I'm about, man. It's like Riven is so good in Singleton because she's just like, all right, even if I just make one, I mean, she's a 3/4 stats, and even if she just reforges one thing, she's gained her value. Same with Zoe and all. I mean, the value in Singleton is so funny, but this guy is like screams value in that type of mode. Oh my gosh, she's gonna be nuts. That makes me excited.
I can't wait. I wonder if they'll make his sister a follower. So obviously she's in his card. She's like the little ghost that's on his back.
Oh, cool.
So basically in the lore, they're twins, and Aphelios was really good at fighting. The sister was really connected to the spirit world, and something with the Lunari. There's like this. I'm not sure if it was a prophecy, something along those lines. Well, basically, to fulfill the prophecy, someone needed to go to the spirit world, but also be connected to a person. Right. So like the Solari apparently are attacking. They found the Lunari's base and everything, and that's during the ceremony of his sister going to the spirit world. Well, she ends up like making it to the spirit world, and is, because they're twins, connected to Aphelios, and ends up empowering all of his weapons and everything. So that's why he's all crazy and can change his weapons and stuff like that on the fly. But so yeah, she basically empowers him with this spirit power. So that's why they're connected. So I wonder if there will be more cards relating to her, or like buffing, like relating to her buffing him kind of thing.
Yeah. What episode of Avatar was that? It's a terrible joke.
I mean, it makes sense. It could be Avatar.
Yeah, that'd be sick. I mean, that kind of, is that her on Gifts from Beyond? It's like
that's her. That's her face.
Yeah. That's actually super sweet. That makes total sense then why that's a thing. So I was like, I wonder why they just added this extra weapon. But that's actually a sweet connection there.
Yeah, which makes sense.
And you see the Sunforger in his art. If you look at Aphelios' full art, the new Solari Sunforger.
Oh yes, see, that's them attacking. Yeah, this is when they come together. Yeah, that's hysterical. Yes. That's what I was just describing.
Yeah, he's smacking up the 4-drop. Yeah, it makes me sad because I'm a Solari guy, but it's all right.
They can't win every time.
Just most of the time.
Yeah, well, the Lunari are tiny little people stuck on a mountain. The Solari like encompass the whole mountain. So like,
I'm talking about, baby. Let's go Solari. The last thing we got to talk about before we end, we already covered the lab fully, but there was a new patch 2.00, and there was a adorable new little elephant. We gave one away on Twitter, so if you're not following us on Twitter, make sure to do that because we do giveaways every time there's a new cosmetic and every time we hit the next level of 100 followers. So Amber on Twitter won Ellie, the new elephant. So congratulations if you're listening, and thank you for participating in the giveaway. Not much in this fix. This was not supposed to be a balance patch. I see people like going crazy that they want more balance. It was like a little huge party as well, though. Like it was funny. I was expecting like, I saw just one card. I was like, oh no, like I know it's not supposed to be a balance patch. This is an in-between patch. So this is a cadence patch. Is this going to happen? Like, are people going to be okay with just one balance? And it was like the end of episode 6, dude, just like where the Empire got finally defeated. People were like, pack your bags is dead. People were freaking out. People were so happy, man. But and then like a couple hours later, like the people who were like, there was only one change. This game's dead. The balance team is the worst team.
Oh,
that also happened, which I was expecting more of that. But essentially, pack your bags went to 5 mana.
Yeah,
is the change.
Well, it's the biggest nerf ever in the game.
It's a big number. It's a big number change.
Yeah,
1 to 5.
It makes sense though. I've been complaining forever. It's like this thing does, what is it? Like if you just on basis, like if it's only hitting the Nexus, does 8 total damage, and refreshes itself, makes it more capable of happening, and it only costs a total of 4 mana. It's like, what is that? I don't understand. But
you can't be milled. You can, it's absurd.
But I think the community is finally, adjusting to, Riot putting out these small patches to fix things. So basically, I'm kind of referring back to when they did that. What was it? It was like the tiny Lee Sin change. There was like two small changes. It was like the make it rain change and something else. And people were like,
Lee Sin, yep.
Yeah, we're like freaking out, like this isn't enough, blah blah blah. Well, like that patch wasn't supposed to happen. It was like a rushed patch because
yes, exactly.
they felt the pressure the pressure of like changing the meta because people didn't like Lee Sin and Lee Sin was broken.
Exactly.
But this one was also like a rush. They already planned to do it, but they're like, oh, Go Hard is running the meta right now, and people are not enjoying the play experience. So we're gonna rush that out. So I think people are finally coming around and appreciating like, okay, yeah, they know this is bad. Or it's in a bad state. So and then they came out and explained, you're like, oh, this wasn't supposed to happen. So people are like, oh, okay, it makes sense. I feel like the people that didn't read that sentence of like, oh, this was a hot fix that was supposed to be out next patch, they were the ones that were like, this dev team sucks. How is this a patch? Kind of thing. I think they just didn't read the full text. But so Pack Your Bags is still definitely relevant. People were saying, oh, this is the biggest nerf ever. And in terms of mana wise, yes, but in terms of like viability, it's still very possible. It's still going to destroy your aggro deck that you're playing.
100%.
What I do like, I mean, going into Go Hard still is annoying, depending on what deck you're using. But what I do like is they see that it is a fun archetype that people enjoy playing and enjoy like trying different little techs here and there. Like I saw a slot bot in one today. I was like, what is this? I'm not sure.
Yeah, that version's funny.
Yeah, but I like that they're trying to keep the viability of it without, just like, they know there's a lot of hate for it, but there's also just as much love. So like I think they're trying to do that with Lee Sin also, but Lee Sin teeters on like, completely broken to like being really bad. So exactly. But with Pack Your Bags, they just make it so it's worth, like the mana actually matches its damage output. So, they're trying to keep that viability there and, keep it so that it's still playable, but isn't going to just run over your deck in one turn by playing 3 Pack Your Bags because it only costs 12 mana.
Yeah, it does. It does things very importantly, and like the biggest one is it stops the Ladros OT, so you can't play Ladros, Stranded Ladros, and this at the same time. So that's very important. Zap can no longer search for this once it's made, but you can, if you already have one in your hand, just a Go Hard, you can zap before you play the second one. But there will be situations where you have no Go Hards, and then you only have Zap, and you won't be able to find this. Karma does get around this. Infinity Patrons pointed that out in our Discord, so that was a cool fact. Where if Karma plays the 1 cost 1 and copies it, if it would have been your 4th now, then it still turns into this, which is cool. So Karma Go Hard could still be there. The biggest thing to me is it just opens up the fact that you can play mid-range decks without having to worry about your whole board getting exploded at any point.
Yeah.
For 1 mana. Like to me, the OTK factor, not the OTK, but the Ladros, then that, I normally lost the game well before that.
I did too. I was like, but I barely saw Ladros in this deck. I mean, obviously, I've been playing an aggro deck for a while now.
Right, it definitely matters. Yeah,
but like I wasn't even complaining about the Ladros. I just wanted to be able to not have to stall out the whole game to like play my Jinx, and then it's like now I can play my Jinx and be like on turn 4 and know that I'm not going to get Packed Your Bags if they don't have mana for it. So
right, exactly, yeah, and they have to, most of the time when they would Pack Your Bags, they would have played a Go Hard or 2 first, to be able to draw that. You know what I mean? To actually be able to get it to that point. They play a Go Hard, they shuffle 2 more in, then they play Zap, so their chances are higher to draw it, and that has been hurt, which is great. And it's just a bunch that goes around with it. It's just like it's really important for, I think, the game to move in that direction. And I think the reason that we haven't really seen the Ladros version or the Ladros finishing us is because you and I were playing mid range or aggro, whereas the Ladros was the win con for when they first control most of the games, because wiping their board didn't really matter.
Yeah.
So I'm sure the control players out there were like, "Are you kidding me? All I got defeated by was Ladros when they played the deck," which is totally fair. So don't come at us for saying that just because we play mid range and
aggro. Yeah. I mean, I think maybe there's like a ton of invoke decks going on, so I'm sure Invoke has
exactly.
Invoke has a great way of stalling the game out. So I'm sure
Yes.
into that matchup, you probably saw the Ladros into Pack Your Bags a ton, and I apologize.
Yeah. Yeah. Even just right there, other than Phoenix Club saying "Don't jinx your jinx," which is quality content, but Run the Net saying can confirm as a control player that he lost the Ladros a ton in that version. So yeah, I just want to clarify that. Just because we didn't see, we had lost the games well before that because my freaking Leona Swain deck dies to Pack Your Bags on turn 6, and then I just rage quit the game, and I don't even hit surrender. I just close the application, and then they have to wait
they
out.
They have to suffer.
You got to make them suffer. I think that's it. We have a couple other things. I guess at the end, just as always, guys, we are the Twin Sons Podcast. We do this weekly. We have a YouTube now that we're pumping out a lot of content for. We're gonna have some cool lab games coming up. Also, I did make a Leona Swain deck that I've been grinding with. Got to Diamond 2 with it so far. There'll be gameplay and deck breakdown as well as an article about that all coming on Saturday, so you can check that out. All the links to everything that I'm talking about right now will be in the description of the video or the description of the podcast that you're listening to on all the different social media forms. We have a Twitter, we have a Discord. We got to get another tournament going in your Discord. It's been a little bit, so we'll probably run one of those again soon. And Josh has been streaming. That link will be here. I stream very rarely, but occasionally, so you can check that out as well. Other than that, Josh, that's pretty much it. It wasn't a whole lot to talk about this week.
But we got a whole hour worth of content over here. So
yeah, I think there's plenty to talk about.
Yes,
we do have a few guests lined up. Can't confirm or deny anything that I've said already in this podcast. But yeah, we do have a few guests lined up coming up in the future. A few other community members as well that I've been talking to that want to collab. So we will definitely be doing that very shortly. If you enjoyed the video or if you enjoyed the podcast, ratings, likes, all that good stuff. Help us out.
It'd be amazing.
Yeah. Just the free stuff. Just the clicks.
Yeah, I'm not even asking for a sub, just to follow. I like to know people.
He's not even asking for a sub, guys. Come on. Oh, maybe your mom can sub to you next time.
Maybe. I wonder if she has her own Twitch account. That'd be hysterical.
We need the viewers.
We do.
Come on, Josh's mom. Well, Josh, if you have nothing else to say, we can end the podcast here. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Yeah, I have nothing else to say. No, thanks guys for tuning in. Thanks for whoever came out to the live stream. Thank you for whoever listens to this in the future. Yeah, appreciate all of you.
Well said. Goodbye.
See you.